Hello and welcome to Eagle News International Australia Oceania. I am Donabelle Della Santos from Sydney, bringing you stories from Australia, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. For the headlines, Australia approaches the last stage to COVID-19 roadmap to recovery. Year 12 graduates experience alternative rites due to COVID-19. Destructive winds felt at nation's capital welcome year-end season. Wasps threatens safety at Brisbane International Airport. Filipinos react to 53rd Parliament having no Member of Parliament of Filipino descent. Filipino doctors and nurses led medical mission in Port Moresby. Overseas, Filipino workers in Papua New Guinea organized fundraising for typhoon victims in Philippines. For our first story, the end of 2020 seems to coincide with Australia's COVID-19 recovery journey as it nears its last stages. Let's hear more from Eagle News correspondent Alyssa Ventura. Alyssa?
The end of the year is fast approaching, and yet it seems like time has stood still since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Australia is now progressively overcoming the disease as the new normal emerged.
According to the Australian Department of Health, there are now 28,000 total cases of COVID within the country, with 90% of the total cases has recovered. The state of Victoria currently holds the most number of cases, shortly followed by the states of New South Wales and Queensland. In most states, life has resumed closer to normal. People are now starting to enjoy recreational activities and entertainments that were restricted for most of the year. Queensland has entered its sixth stage of its roadmap to recovery. Indoor events and open-air stadiums now allow a 100% seating capacity for entertainment such as sports, theatre and live music. 1,500 people are now allowed to gather for outdoor events including dances. Moreover, there's an added regulation to wear masks when social distancing is impossible. In Victoria, mask wearing is still mandatory when accessing public utilities and facilities. As of December 6, more establishments were allowed to reopen. Dance floors and entertainment facilities with 50 people limit and weddings are now opened, following the 4 square meter rule. Outdoor gatherings have increased to 100 people. Restaurants and cafes are now permitted to operate again as long as it complies to the limit of 2 square meter rule and rapid tracking. Meanwhile, New South Wales lifted more restrictions in preparation to the end-of-year events and celebrations. As of December 7, maximum limits were removed for events and facilities such as hospitality venues, weddings, funerals, regional agricultural shows, corporate events, and religious gatherings, as long as they are subjected to the 2 square meter rule.
Hope abounds in all Australians as the year fades along with the pandemic that brought change to everyone's lives. Reporting from Townsville, Australia, this is Alyssa Ventura, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Alyssa. This is great news to Aussies looking forward to celebrating the coming end of year. This pandemic changed the course of the whole world but didn't hinder students from learning and earning merits, and this is worth celebrating. With the restrictions still in place, schools have been more creative in conducting the graduation rites. Our correspondent in Gold Coast, Zelene Ryan Andrews, has more on this story. Zelene?
Coronavirus has taken a hit to Grade 12's rites of passage, with restrictions forcing Queensland schools to rethink their large graduation ceremonies this past month.
The year 2020 consisted of many celebrations that were forced to be postponed, including birthday parties, baby showers, weddings, and all those in between. But one of those inevitable celebrations and events were graduations of high school and university students.
My name is Diego Madronio. I am a student of Queensland Academy's Health Sciences campus. This year I was in year 11 and will be graduating in year 12. Well, due to COVID lockdowns and a lot of things happening this year, a lot of big events that people were looking forward to during the holidays were closed down. For example, Fright Night and Winter Wonderland in the movie world. which my friends and I were really looking forward to going during our summer break. And unfortunately, they won't be happening anymore, so we have to look for alternatives to celebrate during the holidays.
Luckily, in these times, we have the internet to depend on. Graduations were creatively conducted. It remained the same except without the audience who attended at home and watched through a live video stream. With a shared link, people were able to access and join the virtual event wherever they were.
Well, how we celebrated was we just had an online event in which the parents could connect via a link and watch their children receive the rewards at school. And I feel like this was a lot easier to do, not much people to handle. We didn't have to move to a larger venue to accommodate for a large amount of people that were going to come in. My experience graduating was interesting. It was definitely surreal, not being able to celebrate it with my parents or having my loved ones around to celebrate with me. But it was great to know that they were connected, and I definitely know that it was a responsible way, the safest way to handle things. So I support the decision that my school made in graduating this way.
But there were also some high schools that decided to move their event either outdoor or off school grounds, which would hold many more attendants thanks to the Queensland restrictions easing just on time.
Reporting from Gold Coast, Australia, this is Celine Ryan Andrews, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Celine. Congratulations to all graduates. Only a couple of weeks after a heat wave crossed the country, it is now strong winds that hit Australia's capital. Our correspondent from Canberra, Crystal Ibuna, will talk us through the climate updates. Crystal?
Canberrans are blown away by the beginning of a new season as forecasts for the first week of December 2020 made quite an impression. With winds blowing at an average speed of just below 40 kilometers per hour, it's safe to say that the ACT is having a windy start of summer season. On the evening of December 5 up to the early morning of December 6, the nation's capital experienced one of the strongest windy weather this year, with wind speed reaching up to 50 kilometers per hour, causing moderate destruction to the streets of Canberra. An incident caused by the strong wind occurred at Herd Street, Mawson, where a tree was found lying across the road, fortunately not hitting any cars or people on the way. State Emergency Service located in Canberra was immediately contacted to report the incident to prevent cause of traffic. At their arrival on the scene, the tree was finally cleared off the road. Strong wind forecasts should not be overlooked as it can cause as much destruction as heavy rainfall and intense heat. It can knock trees and posts over and can possibly blow off the roof of your house. In the case an incident like this happens, it is advised to contact your local state emergency services and report the issue. As a reminder, always be prepared and ready for any changes in the weather. Be keen to the forecast and stay attentive to the climate. Reporting from the nation's capital, this is Crystal Ibuna, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Crystal. We hope that everyone is safe amid these frequently changing weathers. It isn't just unpredictable climate events that trouble those down under. In this interesting next story, small but terrible wasps cause chaos to airline industry. Eagle News correspondent Raylene Rose Javier is here to share more. Raylene?
Keyhole wasps that are native to Central and South America have been causing various complications at Brisbane Airport, threatening the safety of flights. According to the Australian Transport Safety Bureau, maintenance workers found the pilot's pitot tube, a hollow instrument which is placed outside of the plane to measure airspeed, was almost filled with mud, causing malfunction. Without proper management, a risk of spreading an infestation to other Australian airports and potential nearby countries with semi-tropical conditions is possible. Using 3D replicas of pitot tubes, researchers positioned them at multiple locations throughout various commonly used regional airlines. During the 39 months of monitoring, there were 93 cases of fully blocked probes, majority of them built between November and May. Findings said that the wasp gathered caterpillars from nearby grass areas, placing them in the pitot tubes as food for their offspring. Wildlife managers use targeted organic pesticides to eliminate the caterpillars, successfully cutting the wasps' activity near the international and domestic terminals by 50%. Though not classified as an agricultural pest nor a vector for human disease, no official government plan to exterminate them was issued. Fortunately, no major accidents were reported. In 2018, Australia's Civil Aviation Safety Authority issued an alert to pilots, airports, and Australian airplanes regarding the dangerous wasp infestation. Though not mandatory, covering pipette tubes whilst waiting at Brisbane Airport was advised. According to the Brisbane Airport study, a total of 26 incidents were reported between November 2013 and April 2019.
Although the keyhole wasps may be small, their threat to aviation won't be ignored. However, with right management and inspection, safe flights in and out of Brisbane is possible. Reporting from Brisbane, Queensland, this is Radio Tavir, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Tissue boxes mo. Hindi mo ba alam, mauubos daw ang mga tissue products?
Bakit naman?
Ang raw materials daw ng mask at tissue products ay iisa lang.
Saan naman galing ang balitan yan?
Ay basta, narinig ko lang din. Maraming din kayang nagpo-post sa Facebook at Twitter, kaya kung ako sa'yo, pumuha ka na din. Sige na't mauna na ako sa'yo
Huwag basta-basta magpaniwala
sa mga nakikita
o nababasa sa social media.
Magsaliksik at i-verify ang lahat ng impormasyon
nakukuha sa internet.
Tandaan,
maging responsable tayo
sa paggamit ng social media
nang hindi magdulot ng panic sa iba.
Kung paanong dapat labanan ng COVID-19
ay gayon din ang ating pagsugpo
sa black propaganda at maling impormasyon.
Dennis Lu,
Lou Amelda,
Vivian Alfartosa,
Tyranel Pililu,
Hannibal Arevalo,
EBC,
Japan,
Euro.
We live in interesting times.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Filipinas, a one-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Agila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Agila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explain our health outdoor
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News International Australia Oceania. In New Zealand, the 53rd Parliament has recently opened, and we will hear the thoughts of our fellow Filipinos having no elected member of Parliament of Filipino descent. Our correspondent from Wellington City, Greg Bessa, reports. Greg?
New Zealand's 53rd Parliament was officially opened on the 25th of November of this year. It was held as historic considering the 120 members of Parliament came from various socio-economic, cultural, and political backgrounds. But for the Filipino community in this country, it was a day of reckoning, since in this new parliament, there's no member with Filipino ancestry.
Having a significant number of gender, ethnic, and indigenous representations, the composition of 53rd Parliament is considered as the most diverse ever in the history of New Zealand's legislative body. However, despite the wide-ranging inclusiveness of the new parliament, the strong and growing population of Filipino community in New Zealand expressed their frustration and dismay due to the inclusion of a member of parliament with Filipino background, unlike the previous parliament where Paulo Garcia, the first member of parliament of Filipino descent, was a part of.
We are on one hand very proud that we have 4 Filipino Kiwi candidates running for office. Paulo Garcia, the National Party, Mr. Romy Udana, and Bonina Hernandez from the Labour Party, and the new Tea Party fielding Ms. Willa Bernardo, Filipino MP. But what we can say, and what the embassy has been saying, is that we are encouraging Filipino Kiwis to register to vote, and to join a political party according to your convictions and be very active in that party.
Very disheartening to see that there's no MP of Filipino descent in the upcoming parliament. The House of Representatives is supposed to be a reflection of New Zealand society in general, and without any Filipino representation there, it's lacking because there's no one there to be a voice for the Filipino community in New Zealand.
I think we deserve representation in the parliament, considering that the Filipino community is the fastest growing migrant community in New Zealand.
Maybe it's not the time for Filipino yet, so I'm hoping that in the next election we can have a person that represents the Filipino community.
On the other hand, Member of Parliament Honorable Simon Bridges promised to help representing the concerns of the Filipino community in Parliament, as he commended the continuing crucial roles of Filipinos in nation building. Other than working with Paulo Garcia during the last Parliament, he also took pride of his 2 visits to the Philippines, recent of which was in January 2019, together with other members of the previous Parliament.
That I don't have my friend and colleague Paulo Garcia, but of course I'm back as Member of Parliament for Tauranga. There's a lot to look forward to this term in Parliament. I'm looking forward to working hard for the people of Tauranga. I want to keep my commitment and my friendship with Pinoys around New Zealand and be a good representative in Paulo's.
The general election will be held 3 years from now. It will give enough time for the Filipino community to plan on what to do so as to ensure of having a member or members of their own in the next Parliament. Reporting for the Eagle News New Zealand Bureau, this is Greg Bessa. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Greg, for that update from New Zealand. Moving to Papua New Guinea, this next story will surely make all Pinoys proud. Filipino doctors and nurses led a medical mission in Port Moresby to provide health services to fellow Filipinos and Papua New Guineans. We have a correspondent, Eko Hortaleza Quinola, to walk us through this event. Eko?
The coronavirus outbreak hogged the media headlines and made this world in a pandemic mode for more than a year, rendering it as the biggest story that ever emerged.
Of this date, new cases of COVID-19 were reported in West New Britain and have taken Papua New Guinea's total number of confirmed infectious patients to more than 655. According to the National Pandemic Response Controller David Manning, Papua New Guinea had done far better than many other countries. However, the country remains vigilant, continuously observing health protocols, especially in public places.
Leading cause po kasi ng death ngayon ay dahil sa high blood at diabetes. Kaya nagkaroon po kami nagtama po kami sa answer na free BP checking po sa free sugar test po. Na alam naman po natin na napaka-poor ang health po rito at hindi po sila gaano knowledge pagdating po sa kanilang health. Ngayon, pagdating naman po sa diabetes, ang akala po nila ay normal po yung nandito po ang clinic namin para po makatulong po sa kanila, hindi lamang po sa kapwa nating Filipino, kundi para po sa mga lokal po na nandito sa Papua New Guinea na makakapagbigay po ng tamang kaalaman at tamang pong gamutan para po.
Even in our own small way, we can help them out when it comes to their medical concerns. And the feeling of being empathized, the empathy is always there as frontliners, as healthcare providers. The medical assistance provided by 7-man medical clinic is actually are following. We have random blood sugar tests, wherein we have to test the glucose level of our patients or our kababayans who are there at SAPNA. And second, we also have to test for blood pressure, level of oxygen or oxygen saturation. We also have to test also the normal heart rate for them to identify if there are any problems as regards to cardiovascular problems. And also we give advices if it's necessary for them to go for a check or to work it up when it comes to their health concerns.
Extending help to the public via medical mission is a noble act that can be of help during this global pandemic, a charitable way of maintaining essential health services. Reporting from Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, Eko Hortaleza Quinola, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Eko. This is the kind of energy we'd love to have in these times of need. Still in Papua New Guinea, overseas Filipino workers organized a fundraising event to provide assistance to the victims of the typhoons that recently hit the Philippines. Eko Hortaleza Quinola is back to deliver this report. Eko?
Amidst the ongoing pandemic threat in the Philippines, Super Typhoon Rolly and Ulysses brought another calamity and challenges to our fellow Filipino. A back-to-back fundraising was organized by the Filipino Association of Papua New Guinea, FAPNANG, to help the typhoon victims who were severely affected and were left homeless and devastated. Typhoon Rolly, which was said to be the strongest, and Typhoon Ulysses brought heavy flooding in various provinces of Luzon. The FAPNANG organizers sold tickets for Tindog Catanduanes or Rebuild Catanduanes, and printed Bangon Pilipinas t-shirts and prepared sumptuous lunch buffet at the Airways Hotel. On the following day, a dinner benefit concert was held at the Filipino Clubhouse where a simple gig featured our aspiring kababayan singers and bands.
Okay, first for the Tindog Catanduanes or Rebuild Catanduanes, it is initiated by Sherlyn Molina from Catanduanes when the Typhoon Rollies, hit that place, that island.
And then for the typhoon disease, we came up with this Bangon Pilipinas or Rise Up Philippines after we reviewed the video clips, the footages, on how pitiful the situation of our fellow Filipino.
The officers of FOPNANG have arranged ways to deliver their help and support. The fundraising proceeds and donations from our overseas Filipino workers will be used to help the typhoon victims.
Okay, we have 3 projects actually. We have 2 for Catanduanes. One is at Airways Hotel and the other one is a high tea at Crown Plaza. And we have another one, Bangon Pilipinas. The aim of that is to help also all our kababayans who are affected of the typhoon after the strike of Ron.
On behalf of the people from Catanduanes, I would like to personally thank the sponsors, the organizers headed by Ms. and also with the help of our Office of MPPNG officers who had really helped us come up with this and have this event successful.
These horrific typhoons brought forward traumatic experiences. However, as a way to extend our kindness using our skills and resources to help is indeed a noble and indispensable act which our fellow countrymen can benefit. Reporting from Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, Echo Hortaleza Quinola, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Echo. This is truly inspiring. And that ends today's program. Thank you for watching Eagle News International Australia Oceania. Join us again next week as we share more stories from our bureaus across Australia, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. Visit our websites on eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Don't forget to follow us on twitter.com/eaglenews and on facebook.com/eaglenews. Stay safe, stay strong and take care everyone. From Sydney, Australia, I am Donovan De Los Santos, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Gia! Shoutout sa lahat ng mga nasa kanilang mga bahay, mga team